Today, we are going to be diving into the traffic box opportunity, but before we do, I just wanted to hit on a few housekeeping items. First, I want to note that this session is being recorded and will be available online. In a few days, the recording will be up on our YouTube channel, as well as on our opportunities page. It will replace the registration link for this info session. And then also, if you registered for this webinar, then you will be sent a link with the recording as well. English language transcriptions are available by clicking the live transcript button at the bottom of the screen and then selecting show subtitle. Subtitles can also be viewed in the recording. I'd also like to acknowledge the history of the land that the Boise City Hall, where we are, sits on. We recognize the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded territory of the Shoshone, Bannock, and Northern Paiute people whose land we sit on today. So, to begin, my name is Hannah Williamson, and I am accompanied by Savannah Shaon. We are public art project coordinators, and we will be facilitating the Traffic Box program this year. And if you have any questions, please submit them through the Q&A feature whenever they come to you, and we will address them at the end. There will be time at the end to answer these questions, and then we will also be available by phone or email. So, oops, no, there we go. So on the agenda today, we're going to have just a general program overview for the traffic boxes. Then we'll get into the selection panel and process, application and criteria, suggestions for applicants to make a stronger application, and then some frequently asked questions that we receive from applicants, and then time at the end for questions. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Savannah.
Okay, so into the traffic box program. It started in 2010, almost 15 years ago now. We've amassed a collection of around 215 wrapped boxes that fluctuates every year with new additions, but the collection has grown pretty steadily over the past 14 years. The award is $1,000 to artists to create or supply original artwork, to be digitized and then fabricated into the vinyl wrap that goes around the boxes. Currently, we are limiting this opportunity to Idaho residents. It is open to all ages, but if you're under 18, you do need a parent or a guardian to act as a representative for your contract. You can still apply, you just have to include their information. We invite individual artists and artist teams to apply for this opportunity and respond to the concept prompt. But if you are an artist team of more than one artist, you just submit one application. You don't have to submit multiple. And this year's concept prompt is a pretty fun one. We're asking you to create an entirely new Boise through playful use of non-naturalistic colors, forms, and perspectives, and include a subjective depiction of the natural world. So whatever that looks like to you. Then on to the next slide, we have our timeline. Most of these dates are going to fluctuate. You'll see that we just have a month or a range of a couple of months listed, but the dates that you guys really need to keep in mind is that questions and clarifications are due to me, and I'll have my contact information at the end of this presentation. You need to get those into my inbox or call me and leave a message by October 9th at the end of the day, 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And then the application deadline is really the big one to keep in mind. It is October 16th, which is a Wednesday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. The rest of those dates are going to fluctuate and change, but when we nail them down, we will be letting the artists know when we've selected them. So before we get too much into the specifics of the application, I want to start with your application audience. So a huge part of what makes public art what it is, public art, is that it's the public process. So the selection is determined not by Hannah and I, but actually by community members that we select and put on this panel. And it's a group that's project and community members, an arts and history commissioner, and a local artist. And in this particular case, we have a local artist, a staff member from the Record Exchange, a staff member from the YMCA, a member of the Arts and History Commission, and then an Arts and History staff member. And those panelists will score applications based on the criteria that you see included in the call, and we give them preset descriptors tied to point values. So then the panelists will score individually and meet together as a group to come to a consensus on which artists to select. So again, although Hannah and I are present and we guide the meeting, we make sure that people stay on topic, we're not the ones who are scoring and deciding who's selected. We just sort of guide the conversation along, make sure that people stay moving. So we use the application platform Submittable, which is what Hannah's going to tell you about next. Some of you, hopefully all of you, will be applying.
So Submittable is an application platform that's really easy, user-friendly, and free for applicants. The application important things to note are eligibility, which includes availability. If you're available, if you're able to meet the different requirements for this opportunity, but the initial application questions, which are very basic, your name, contact information, that kind of thing. Your statement of interest. This is your argument for why you personally are a good fit for this project. Think of it like a sales pitch, and then you can pull in, say this isn't your forte, this type of prompt that we're asking, if you can pull in strong suits from how your work ethic or how this connects to your work outside of making art. There's room for you to create a strong argument, and panelists see that and recognize that and will weigh that when they are choosing traffic box artists. Concept description. Describe what you envision being on the traffic box, specifically with our concept prompt in mind. But please note that you are allowed to upload up to 2 files for this. And if you choose to include any visuals, please remember that this isn't compensated and you shouldn't provide any more than the minimum of what you can to get your idea across. We want to be able to fairly compensate artists, and we don't want you to have to put in more work upfront than is necessary. And then if you can provide 3 previous work examples, it helps if these are similar in medium to the work you are proposing. If they can show a range of use of color or ability. And they do not have to directly relate to the prompt, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later in this section. Excuse me. So artist resume, as this is a great opportunity for emerging artists, we are not expecting a lengthy resume, but we still do require one. And please include your social media handles if you have them, though it does not replace your artist resume. And then there's optional personal identification if you choose to answer. And then for the criteria, this is what the panelists will be judging your application on. We have set criteria that is listed in the call that will also be the rubric that the panelists score from. So the criteria, eligibility and detail and completion is pass fail. And this is the first vetting process before the panelists see. We go through and just make sure all the materials are there and that you meet the eligibility requirements. Aesthetic consideration. Maximum points are based on artwork is exceptionally aesthetically pleasing and would enhance and define the community space, is appropriate for all ages, and fully embodies the concept prompt. Evidence of ability to follow through. Maximum points based on artist has provided ample evidence of their prior experience that clearly demonstrates their ability to follow through. Quality of proposed concept, maximum points, artist's concept utilizes non-naturalistic colors, forms, and perspective in an exciting and innovative way to create a vision for a new city of Boise. And then Idaho artist, maximum points, artist appears to currently or previously reside in Idaho, so that's more like you get an extra point for being an Idaho resident or a previous Idaho resident. So those are the criteria. I mean, this is exactly what the panelists will see when they are looking at your application. So it's really important to keep these in mind and really try to hit on all of these to get the most points for your application.
Right. Okay, so speaking of suggestions and applications, I have a couple. So also, if you have any questions, you can submit them now in the Q&A in the chat. You don't have to wait until the end. You can, but you don't have to. So a couple of basic suggestions. Make sure that you're reviewing the application materials. Just read everything, double check. We try to make this easy to understand, but we're not perfect. So just double check, make sure you understand what's going on, and make sure that you understand what we're asking of you. Answer all those questions, be clear and concise. You know, don't forget that you're not communicating with Hannah and I, you're communicating with a panel of strangers who you don't know. So something may seem like common sense or intuitive to you, but it would really help to explain it to your panelists, just so that they see and understand what you see. Also, these application pools are very competitive. We do get a lot of applications. So think about what you're contributing that is unique, meaningful, interesting. Something that really elevates your application is if it inspires curiosity and wonderful thought about the concept prompt. So also connect your written descriptors to your medium, your visual style, and your past work examples. And one common challenge for panelists is maybe not fully understanding how the concept will be communicated visually. And that doesn't mean that you need to provide a completed rendering. Again, we're not asking you to do a ton of work for your concept proposal, but do be aware that you're responsible for connecting the dots between the concept and your visual style. You don't want to leave panelists guessing at what you're trying to get at. So for example, you don't want to propose a painted concept and then only show past work examples of sculpture without providing an explanation that connects why you did that. And then on to FAQs. These are a few questions that come up every time we do a new traffic box opportunity, a few questions that we've already gotten this year. So the file size that's mentioned in submittable is 300 DPI, and that is the minimum. It is not the maximum. You can submit above that quality. It's just what we ask you to submit at minimum so that panelists can see all the intricacies of your work if you're submitting a visual concept. And the concept prompt doesn't have any exact dimensions right now because each traffic box is unique. There's not a set size. So when artists are selected, you will be given the exact dimensions when you're assigned a specific box. You can propose previous work to answer the concept prompt, but do keep in mind that your statement of interest should make a strong connection as to why that previous work answers the prompt. And a helpful suggestion might be choosing work that can be modified to fit the traffic box template. So because traffic boxes are 3D and there are 4 sizes of them, think of producing something like a long landscape so that it wraps around all sides of the box. So that's what we have for you. If you guys have any questions for us, we're going to check the chat and hopefully get some answers for you.
We will be sending the recording out after the call. If there's any more information that you were hoping to get, please reach out to Savannah or I, and we can help you gather that information.
I'll respond as soon as I'm available. If any other questions come up, yeah, just let us know. I know that we are at time, but I think we're gonna leave this up for just a little bit so that people can write it down or take a picture of it. Thank you guys for attending.
Thank you so much.
Hope this was clear. Keep an eye out for the recording.